Okay, it's Katie Gillis, and we are here again because I'm just shooting these videos back to back because I've got all the time in the world right now. And so I just wanted to break them up by topic so you didn't have to sit in an hour-long conference, an hour-long practicum. So let's talk about topic number 2, which is what to eat. Because remember in the last video, we talked about a biblical perspective from creation, a creation-based theory on how to eat and what God has put here for us to eat and why it matters. Shared a little tiny bit of my story and shared what's coming up. And so what I promised was in this next video, I would talk to you about what to eat organic and why that matters, and foods that are absolutely evil, they are weapons of mass destruction, and what to avoid, like don't compromise on these foods. And that's what we're gonna do today. That's what I'm gonna do right now. All right, so here's what to eat. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, eggs, animal proteins of all kinds, fish and shellfish, oats, rice, pasta, beans, lentils, high protein yogurt. I like to say high protein, low sugar or no sugar, olive oil, butter, honey, old world cheeses, maple syrup, herbs, and seasonings. Y'all, that's an exhaustive list. You will be able to create everything you possibly need from this list. And all of these are gifts from the Lord. Taste and see that the Lord is good. So these are wonderful foods. It gets me excited to talk about them, and I love to cook them. And I know you probably do already, but I think you will more as you pray over this content, over what I'm sharing with you and how this is going to fit into your life. So those are the foods to eat. If you buy any of those books, all those 3 books that I mentioned last time, you're going to see that these foods are in there. There's no compromise there. And now let's talk about eating organic and why it matters. So organic simply means there's no chemicals or pesticides used in the produce. They're also not supposed to be genetically modified, but they can be hybrid, used to like clone, or not clone, but hybrided together to make a certain strand, but they have to be natural. They can't be genetically modified through chemicals and things like that. So that's what organic means. The most important thing here is to keep the pesticides off. Pesticides are neurotoxins, which means they break through the blood-brain barrier, and they literally can get stuck up in your brain tissue. They can cause scarring. They can cause immobility. They can cancel out the neurons from actually firing. So they can cause early onset dementia, all kinds of mental brain fog and challenges. Read Dr. Amen's book if you want to learn more about that. ADD, they affect the brain in such horrible ways. And I don't even have enough time on here. This isn't the class. This isn't an ADD class or a behavioral therapy class, practical neuroscience, behavioral neuroscience. I teach all of this to all of my clients because it is so essential to understand how food affects the brain that can cause mental illness, which really isn't mental illness. It's brain health and a lack of it. And so pesticides are the #1 destroyer of brain tissue. So and then after that, and we've all heard this term, they're hormone disruptors. Hormone disruptors are something that comes into the body, and when it does enter in, it disrupts the natural flow of your hormones, of how the body wants. So God created our bodies with a hormone system that's driven by the brain, and the brain tells the hormone system when to release, what to release, how much to release of each hormone. And we know for a fact that pesticides are hormone disruptors, which means they go in and we know for a fact they disrupt, but we don't know what they're actually doing to your brain because we can't actually see inside your brain. Even with brain scans, we don't know for sure what caused the damage. So let's just get it off altogether. It's a non-negotiable. Pesticides are a tool of Satan to destroy your brain, destroy your endocrine system, and cause your efforts to be fruitless. We don't want that. We want your labor to produce fruit. So get the pesticides and some other toxins, which I don't have time to talk about, but anything that is an endocrine disruptor or a toxin or a chemical needs to be completely out of your lifestyle, because that is a tool of Satan to make your efforts unfruitful. Who in the world wants to ingest food that is guaranteed to make your labor unfruitful or not as potent, not as fruitful? So many Christians in my practice have come to me, Christian young women. I love mentoring young ladies, teens, and young adults who come to me with mental health challenges that really were simply the brain not being able to function correctly because it was disrupted. So there's also, God is so good, scientific evidence. I can prove it to you if you have questions about this. I coach people through this. I work with Dr. Amen and Amen University and Amen Clinics. I take the patients that don't need medicine for their mental health, which is 92% of them. Amazing. But I can promise you that there is evidence that you're not stuck with a brain that has been disrupted. You can change it. We have scientific evidence that God gives us second chances and third chances and 10 chances. But there is also a point of no return, and that's early onset dementia. Some of it can be reversed. I don't want to go off on a tangent. Bottom line is, you don't want hormone disruptors. And if you do feel like, or if you've been told you have some type of mental illness, I can list them off. I'm not supposed to. Anxious thoughts, deep thoughts, really deep highs and lows, crazy highs and lows. You know the medical term for this. Again, I can't say it because I could get in trouble. But I have, through the Lord and through my training, exact healing and support for brains that have been disrupted by these things. And it's about removing the barriers and then healing the brain and giving exactly what it needs so that the brain can drive your ship, so that it can tell your hormone system what to do, and your body's like, yes, that's what we're going to do. So like I said, if you're disrupting the brain, then all of that work you're doing for ministry, some of it can be disrupted. And so like I said, that's a tool of Satan. So we got to get it out. No pesticides. I know I got on a tangent, but look, Lord, I could show you brain scans of our clients who have been on eating healing foods, eating the foods I already mentioned, for just a few weeks and not putting the crap in, and look at their brain tissue renewing. Again, like in the Bible, there's a lot of talk about renewing the mind, but I also believe that God gives us wisdom through his word and through his programs and through his plans to renew our bodies. And our bodies, like our brain cells can renew. Our skin cells renew. How beautiful that our bodies are a replica of what God wants our spirit to be on the inside. Oh, I'm gonna get chills. Y'all, this is great. Okay, let's talk about, get back to what you don't eat, some of the things you have to eat organic. Okay, these are the foods that you can't compromise on. They need to be organic grains, dairy, canned foods, vegetables and fruits and things. We'll talk about that later. Packaged foods, if you have to do some packaged foods, and we'll talk about that later. And any dry goods like flours, oats, any dried goods. So the reason why is because those are sprayed with an abundance of pesticides, and they even have mold inhibitors, which you can think of as a good thing. Oh, it's not going to have mold on it. It's that mold inhibitor is also going to go into your brain, and it's a toxic chemical. So in your body, and we don't know what it'll produce, but it won't produce the fruit you're looking for. I promise you. This is what I've done for a living for many, many, many years. And once you move to that, eating the fruits and vegetables and the healthy things, the healing foods that I talked about in the beginning of this video, watch your body completely change from the inside out. I mean, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And then extra bit is supporting your brain, your brain type, and we'll talk about that later too. All right, so eat organic, grains, dairy, canned, packaged, dry goods. Also eat organic or choose free-range versions of meat, eggs, and wild-caught fish. So you want your eggs, I don't care if they're brown or white, they need to be free-range so that the egg yolk is orange. We need a nice, fat, hard orange egg yolk. If I said white a second ago, I meant to say yolk. So the egg yolk, if it is runny and light yellow, that's trash. We want a thick, not really runny, orange egg yolk, and that is going to be, it's going to be dense with nutrients. So, and you want free range. So free range and or organic meats and eggs and wild caught fish. All right, so now let's move to that final piece, foods that are evil. We must not compromise on here. I want you to start looking at the label of everything in your pantry. And you know what I did? When I learned this content, this actually, the evil foods, I learned 20 years ago. I went through my pantry. I didn't have kids. It was just my husband and I. Doesn't matter. We were important too. I went through my pantry, and I would tell you almost 80% of it had something of these evil ingredients in. And I thought to myself, I put them in a box, as I was going to eat them. Not even one more. I was like, well, again, once you know, you know. And I was convicted. I'm like, I'm not going to put this back in my body. That's not honoring my temple. So I'm going to give it away. And I'm like, I'm not going to give it away either. So I didn't give it away. I threw it in the trash. Because why would I give a known hormone disruptor to a person who's hungry? So when I donate to the food pantry, when I bring food over in a meal train, when I serve lunch to the seniors on Wednesdays, they're getting organic, they're getting free range, they're getting the best of the best. And I don't care if it costs me $50 instead of $10. They're not getting crap. And that's, again, that's my conviction. But Christian ladies, who are we? And are we here to serve? And is it right for us to serve pesticides to the people we love? Is it right for us to serve hormone disruptors to our seniors because it's cheap? Is it okay to give our kids in their classrooms hormone disruptors and attention deficit triggers and expect them to pay attention in class, sit down and be quiet and learn? Why are they not learning? Their brain is freaking out. Okay, I teach an ADD class, healing ADD, because it is not only possible, you can do it. Oh, it's this radical stuff. And it's God's plan. His plan. Do you think God's plan is ADD? No, it's not. It never was. ADD is an accident that happened through many unhealthy choices. Again, I call it an accident because before I knew this, I didn't know. So if you don't know, I don't want you to have guilt. Guilt and shame are from Satan. So what I want you to have is, if you have it at all, a gentle conviction, then an awareness, and then an asking God, what do you want me to do with this content? How do you want me to treat your seniors? How do you want me to treat your kids? How should I treat my kids in my own body, my husband? God will provide you the answer, and you have to go with it. But I do hope that you know, when you know what you know, you don't go back. So it costs you more money, or it takes you more time. Is it worth it? Is honoring God worth it? Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is. Again, I'm not here to sugarcoat it. I'm here to tell you the dang truth, and it's a wonderful thing. Let's get back to it. Foods that are evil. Are you ready? These are the non-compromise foods. They're not foods. Let me first tell you that. They're chemicals. They're hormone disruptors. They're cancer causers. A lot of them are banned in Europe. There's a reason why. Because they cause death and not life. Slowly over time. And I have literally had haters, doubters, and you might too. And you might even think this, well, do they really cause death? Yes, slowly over time. And do fruits and vegetables cause life? Absolutely. Absolutely. They inspire cell turnover. They inspire healing. It's why you've probably maybe read or even know somebody who had cancer. If you're older like me, you've known people who've had cancer, went on a specific all-natural healing diet, full of scripture, full of prayer, full of walking in humility, but also full of fruits and vegetables and fruit juices and vegetable juices, and heal themselves, allow their bodies to heal from that cancer. It is possible, and it is God's tools that do it most of the time. And the chemicals don't help, especially these that I'm about to tell you. Ready? Foods to avoid, they're evil. Artificial flavors of any kind. So that would be like artificial vanilla flavor. It's going to be in your protein powder, protein bars, cereal, candy for sure. I don't even talk about candy. Everything is in candy. Candy designed for kids to kill them. Sorry, I'm just looking at the label and I know the science, and there it is. At Dr. Amen Clinics, we say They're weapons of mass destruction. They are the reason why children go into our practices and are suffering so much, because they're eating worse foods than you and I ate, and they're eating way worse foods than God intended them to eat when He created the earth. So, artificial flavors, artificial colors. This is your red number 40. This is your blue lake. This is your number 2 yellow. Artificial colors. Artificial sweeteners, aspartame, sucralose, high fructose corn syrup, so sweet and low, by the way, bad. Diet Coke, really bad. Any type of soda, really, really bad. All of this is really bad, really, really bad. High fructose corn syrup, or even if it just says corn syrup is created, it's massively bad for your liver, causes liver damage over time. Again, slowly over time, death, slowly over time. Hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. And most of those are going to be seed oils. And you just want to not eat those. So those are again, there's only a few, but they're in everything. They're in so many things. And they're in so many things that when I went through my pantry 20 years ago, they were in my healthy stuff. My protein powder that I bought from GNC because I was poor and I thought I couldn't afford a healthier version. It had artificial colors, artificial flavors, and hydrogenated oils in it. I was flabbergasted. I'm like, I'm eating this because it's healthy and a protein powder, and it's bad? Amazing to me. Check every label. Chuck it. Don't give it away. I'm gonna call you up. Don't give it away. Give away the good stuff. And give yourself the good stuff. Or don't get it at all. I have some clients who said, well, Katie, I can't find anything to replace Diet Coke that I like. And I say, okay. All right. Move on. It's okay. But I mean, there's also a lot, I know we will talk about replacements. And that simply means to try to find something that you can feel like is a similar thing that isn't going to bring you down. So, for example, for Diet Coke, maybe an organic sparkling water. Or I hate to say Zevias. I get Zevias for my kids like a couple times a year, but they have natural flavors, which we don't know 100% where those come from, and they don't have to disclose them. So anyway, there are some substitutes you can go find. You just want to make sure that these ingredients that I just shared are not in your substitute. And you want to look for organic, because then that's going to give you a better option. All natural is the third best, and then after all natural, don't do anything. So it'd be organic, and then all natural, and then you're not having whatever is after that. Okay. So for example, my kids loved Doritos when they've had them a couple times in their life that I didn't know about, that I heard about. And so there's organic Doritos at Publix. Occasionally I will get a bag of organic Doritos. Not my favorite choice because it's a packaged food, but it's more of a neutral, doesn't for sure have any of these bad things in it. So anyway, there's some substitutes you can do. So for me, I like ice cream. I like a good high quality ice cream with real milk and real sugar and real cream and real stuff. And so, but I'm pregnant and I am serious about my health. I'm serious about being an example for my kids, example for my clients, example for my practice. And I want to keep this baby healthy. It's not an option for me to do what I know is harmful. No way, because I don't want to be responsible for the outcome of that, because I know that God does hold me responsible. In the Bible, there's a scripture that says, when you know what is right and you don't do it, call that a sin just for you. Basically, that's what it says. And so I take that everybody's different with their personalities. I'm not a wishy-washy. It's either black or white for me. And so for me, I'm not going to compromise. All that to say, I make a smoothie. I put it up on my Instagram a couple days ago, and it is on my blog. And it's my favorite smoothie recipe, and it is with frozen fruit of whatever I want. I don't put spinach in my smoothies because it doesn't taste like ice cream. I use spinach another way, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I take frozen fruit and I cover it with water. I put some really healthy, high protein yogurt in it. And then I put a scoop of clean, organic protein powder. And I blend that. I just cover it with water and maybe a little bit of ice. And I blend it really thick where my blender is screaming. It's like, please stop. And I make my own ice cream that's made from fruit and healthy ingredients. And I have it almost every day, especially now. And it's delicious. Anyway, so there you can get creative with substitutes. You are a strong and powerful and mighty warrior, woman for God, in a feminine role, but with a no compromise choice to honor God with her body, to manage her household well, to feed her family nourishing foods that heal the body, that God created to heal the body and not to bring it down. You can find a way to not eat the evil foods, to eat organic as best you can, and to eat the healing foods. Okay? Is that a deal? All right. So I've got lots of recipes on my blog, like I said. I'm also going to talk about in the next video where I get my recipes and things like that and how to make them a little healthier. I know I've talked a long time. This is why I broke this series up. But this is so important. Do you know that I think that nutrition is absolutely essential for a Christian woman to manage her household well? Because again, you've got to have a clear mind, and you've got to have all the disruptors removed from your diet. How can your brain steer your ship if it's got disruption? How can you serve your family if you have disruption? And Satan's just laughing his butt off at every single woman that is struggling, and she doesn't even know of all of the disruptors that he's placed in her path that are just convenient or taste good. We got to erase that. We've got to replace that. We've got to renew our mind with things that God put on the earth to heal us, to help our whole life be less stressful because we're not struggling so much. I tell my clients all the time, listen, your brain has fought you because it doesn't really know how to tell you that it's disrupted, but it has been for so many years that's why this chronic conditions come out to where you feel like you've got this wall that you've hit and you can't move forward and you don't know why. And allopathic medicine doesn't have the answer. Let me just tell you this. Allopathic medicine, traditional medicine, is helpful in a variety of forms, but God's ways, I promise you, they are always higher. They are always better. And we can come into alignment with his ways. If we need the allopathic medicine for emergencies, yes, we go here. And I believe God has ordained people to help the body heal through the medical community. But there's 80% that we can do over here. Come into agreement with this content. Ask God, what do you want me to do with this? And write down the answer. I just am so glad you're here. I treasure our time together. I'm thankful to be able to share this with you. And I hope it knocks the socks off you guys and helps you be the strong, powerful, but also feminine and purposeful woman of God that you were always created to be.